Good evening and welcome to the July meeting, Parish Council. In tonight's meeting, we've got the usual reports from the clerk. We're not sure about ward councillors. Chris Wardle is ill and Liam is on holiday. So unless Alison turns up, we won't have reports on that. But I will say something anyway, as I've circulated to councillors about the new city plan, which will probably be what they're doing. We've got an update on the Clubhouse and on the public art project that we've got. We've got one planning application this month, which is for a front extension at 55 Thrupp Close. And tonight's resolutions, we're considering a traffic regulation order reducing speeds on most roads between Haversham and Hounslow to 50 miles an hour, and to see whether we want to respond to that consultation that's coming out. We're also going to consider responding to the local government boundary review, which is changing the ward boundaries in Northern Keynes. There are 4 resolutions relating to the Clubhouse, purchases on tax advice and insurance, and one to give the clerk delegated authority to sign a contract for the purchase of land in front of the shop, as Northern Keynes Council have now sent a sale contract across to us. And we will also, I will also be asking the meeting to give Jackie power to send a cheque over, or not a cheque, but you know what I mean, transfer the funds for the purchase as well. There is a part 2 of the meeting, which is to say a confidential part of the meeting, which will not be broadcast. It's not really that there's going to be any decisions, it's just a more detailed discussion of some of the tax matters that are arising that frankly I don't think is going to be of great interest. So we'll do that. The next meeting is on the 2nd of September, as we don't normally meet in August. And I will mention now, because I'll only forget it at the end, but the chair of Haversham has written to me, I've circulated to councillors, just to say that they have put forward some land for development in Haversham in their neighbourhood plan, and the developer is holding an exhibition on the 18th of July between 3 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. at Haversham Social Club, if anyone's interested in going down there.
Where is that land?
I think that is, if you go up to the school, it's just by the school.
Within the village?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, where is the land?
The estate, running down towards the ground, I think.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Sounds to Richard Cross, to cross this used to be Gerald Randall's land.
So anyway, so if anyone wants to go to that, you're very, very welcome. So we'll now start with the open forum. Did you, I know what Pauline wants to say. Did you want to say anything? Or did you...
I just think the good idea is to the village and introduce that.
Yeah, and to talk about maybe the club and stuff and what's going on there.
Small case of listening.
Yeah, listening, yeah. I'm Mary's Hair, I run the Lodge Farm Cafe.
Okay,
And I'm
well,
talking to Shepperton Close as well.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did a work trip down there. Lunch,
Yeah, definitely, you can hold meetings there as well.
Sausage roll.
Yeah, so I just wanted to listen to stuff about the club really. And see
Okay, all right. Well, I'll be doing a report relatively early in the meeting, so
excellent.
don't feel obliged to
Stay
plow
on.
through all of the
Excellent.
detail of the rest of the meeting if that's too much fun. Okay, well, welcome to the village, and yes, indeed, the cafe's great.
You can't get away from us, but we're all over your walls as well.
Pauline, did you want to say something about the...
Yes, well, I just really wanted to follow up on my last email.
Yeah, I mean, what I could say, Pauline, and there isn't a resolution on the agenda, so we won't be discussing it in the meeting, but there are a couple of suggestions that have been circulated amongst councillors. Would you like to hear us discuss those and then respond, rather than or did you want to speak first? I mean, it's, you can just hear what the ideas are that were being suggested.
We went down. I know, I saw
Yeah,
you. I
Yeah.
was just thinking, this, or outside
Yeah.
my house. It was yours, and then of course I saw you at the top of my drive, and I thought, oh, it's Steve's car, yeah, I had my eye on them.
Okay,
No, it's,
yeah,
12 grand.
Yeah.
Right. No, because the last time I was talking to, I think it was at the end of the last meeting, and it was suggested if I come up with a couple of ideas, and then I got in contact with Dave
Yeah.
as to my suggestions.
well, I mean, your note was circulated to everyone, and on the
Yes.
basis of that, Steve and Kay went down, I went down independently.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, why don't we talk about what the ideas are? I mean, Steve and Kay, do you want to just talk about your thoughts on this?
We looked at it and I'm very much that actually that's a really nice area. I do feel that if children are playing on it, then there shouldn't be a dustbin on it. And I've said that before in these meetings, that I would have said that at the entrance to Shepperton, there is a piece of grass on the right-hand side, which is.
Actually, and on the left.
Yeah, and was on the left and the right, but I do feel the one on the
Yeah.
left is more intrusive to the house because they have a swing there, they have a
Yes.
lower wall. But on the right-hand side, there is a wall with lots of bushes, and it's still on Shepperton, but actually, I think you get a higher footfall there as well, because people walking from Station Road, and who walk down, and people do walk straight down Station Road up to the Navy and things like that. You get a better footfall there. But bring it away from the wall and sort of near it, there's a lamp post. I sent a pic, well, I took a picture and Steve circulated there.
Sorry.
So not down to the entrance to the woodworks, but further, but nearer to Shepperton, that grass that goes round. But I think what we'd like is if you would talk to the person.
I've already spoken to Mrs. Slaughter,
Right.
Yeah.
and she's in number 3.
No, number 2, the one on the corner.
Oh, yes, 2.
Yeah.
The one in number 1 does not want it anywhere near.
No, don't.
No.
Because it's
Yeah,
it's very bad, absolutely.
absolutely does not want it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's what we.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
okay, look, that's one suggestion.
That's
Dave, you've been down, did you have any thoughts?
Only that I looked at your suggestion, that's the only one I looked at. I wasn't looking for anywhere else to put it.
Mm.
I mean, if people are happy with that, then I'm fine with it. The only thing,
yeah.
well, the only thing, hang on a second.
Yeah,
Sorry. The only thing I would say is that, to me, that seems to be going against one of your previous arguments, that you didn't want it on the green or next to
because
the
of the
green.
children.
Yeah,
Yeah, and.
but
so
doesn't
that's
this,
why-
doesn't your suggestion put it in the middle of that?
So that is why in my email I put my first suggestion was either side of Sewer Lane. But obviously for a compromise, then I would agree to moving it further into the centre of the green.
Yeah.
Well,
Just don't see the point
No,
of that
we-
whatsoever.
Well,
That you just encourage
well,
folks to feel.
hang on a minute, let's have a bit of this. Pauline, finish off what you're saying.
so my compromise was to take it further into the green behind the crop planter. Between the 2 trees that are diagonally across from where I can't even say the word, where that receptacle is at the moment. But then my first choice would be where Councillor Sawbridge and Councillor. So,
Now, does anyone else want to talk about this? I mean, I did put a note around myself.
Yeah.
Which was a variation of the, sorry, does anyone else want to speak?
If it's gonna come off the green, we'll put Pauline, it comes off the green, full stop.
Well,
What we didn't discuss, personally, I don't think we discussed it enough, and we didn't agree with the gentleman where he was gonna put it, yeah, tell you.
no, we
So
did.
we've had this controversy, let's get it sorted. Move it out on the corner, or the sewer lane, as we call it, job done.
Well, Okay. Right, I did make a suggestion that it did stay on the green. The reason I'm a little bit concerned about it going to the entrance is twofold, really. One is that it is next to a property, and we have tried to avoid that, but I haven't been down to look at the position that you're talking about, Steve, so I'm not quite sure about that. And I did suggest in the green to the left, looking from Pauline's house off the planter, so that it would be away from the bench, because you obviously don't want it near to a bench. What I do feel quite strongly about is that we need to speak to the residents if it's going to go there, and also let's just step back. We did actually go to the trouble of doing a survey here. Most of the people in Shepperton didn't mind, they didn't respond. As it turns out, 10, because we forgot one who came back afterwards and said, "You've forgotten me." So 10 were actually in favour of it being where it was, and 8 were against it. And I do think, again, if I just repeat this, the reason it was located there was for the convenience of Shepperton residents wanting to, having walked their dogs, come to the end of their walk, wanting to dispose of the dog waste in a convenient bin. I'm personally not convinced that if you take it to the entrance, it's actually not very far from the entrance to the track going up to Joyce and so on, to Joy. But anyway, but I do feel quite strongly that, Pauline's made a very vociferous case in 2 or 3 meetings now. And I do think we ought to, before we make a decision, we can't make a decision tonight, it's not on the agenda, that we ought to contact the people who were supportive of that position and say, what is your view about it being moved? Because if they then say, well, no, we don't want it moved, it's a convenient place and it would be very inconvenient for us to go to such and such a place, then it rather defeats the object of having the dog bin, which is to put it in a place convenient for the dog walkers to actually use. So, I don't mind, but it's got to be in a place where the dog walkers will use it.
Which I think on that corner it would be, because if you think about it, there is no through way. You can't get from Gobby's Field down to Station Road going through the Shepperton. So I think it'd be a better football from more convenient for Shepperton, but also people on Station Road.
Yeah, but I do think.
But I do think we should talk to the person.
I think we should talk to the people.
There's quite a lot of foliage there. They've got the wall there. So
yeah. So I'm quite happy if one of you two wants to talk to the householder. I think it ought to be one of you two rather than Pauline. Okay, you do it, Steve. Yeah?
I'm happy to do it. I think it would be a good idea.
I've already spoken to Mrs. Slaughter.
Yeah, and when you spoke,
To-
did you actually suggest that?
I said that because
I mean, I don't
No, I do think it ought to be someone independent
Oh, yeah,
of Pauline
yeah. I'm
who
quite
talks
happy to
to
do
the householder, because otherwise we might get some comeback, which is, oh, I didn't actually mean that, we come back later. And we know we had a very strong view from the person in the house opposite the road in the survey. They did respond quite strongly. Now, Russell, I think you did the original consultation. Do you think you'd be up to just contacting the people who said, yeah, and just say, what do you think of this position?
Yeah.
And if they're agreeable, I mean, we're not trying to pick fights here. If they're agreeable to it being moved, then I think everyone will be happy. Yeah.
Well, I would be happy if it's moved away from my house. That is the whole point
No, we understand.
of me doing it, and I do not want it to stay there.
No, we understand.
Absolutely clear. I
Well,
would stand my ground and I would not
we understand that,
want it
Pauline.
to stay there,
Yeah.
because I think it's unfair.
Well,
Could I just say on that, Phil, I think the green anywhere where it is at the moment is completely unsuitable. Those 2 trees, if you see the state of the bench, I mean, it's not really usable at all, and you'll just get bird droppings all over it, and
Which I'd like to
and
put
there's-
on another agenda. that
and
way.
there's very
Well,
little
look,
space.
we have your proposal.
Yeah,
Let's see whether it will fly
okay.
with the residents, because that was what the proposal was.
So-
We surveyed before on moving it, as you call it, to sewer lane, and that wasn't well received. So let's try it again.
The problem with sewer lane is I don't think I think the parking of the van to actually pick the sewer stuff up. It wouldn't be ideal.
Also, people have to take a deep time to go and put stuff in.
So,
the-
Well, look,
I'm quite happy to do
you know,
that.
I was working on a variation of what Pauline had originally said, yeah, and you know, you speak against it, that's fine. I do want it to be convenient though, for the
Yeah.
people, because otherwise,
Otherwise it's pointless.
Exactly.
So
So let's do that.
You need to actually timed him.
It's
No, no,
only,
It's in 3 minutes.
it's only a few yards up the road.
Can we agree? You'll talk to the household,
Yeah.
and Russ will talk to the people, and then we'll bring it back next time, and perhaps we'll put something on the agenda, and we can make a decision. Okay, is that fair for everybody?
Well,
Yeah,
I think because we all along the side that I'm in, we weren't asked whether we wanted it, that was just.
no,
advertised, so
Pauline, I did say we weren't
Yeah,
going
you
back
did.
through the
why should
consultation
you
again,
then have to go back, and ask the people?
because I do want it to be convenient for dog walkers. I want the dog walkers to say that, otherwise we will end up with it not being used, as Dave says, then it rather defeats the point. And then we have put these in the estates, convenient for where people actually are, and that is the reason for it. But look, if everyone's agreeable, then fine, we've got a solution.
I don't think you're gonna get an agreement between everybody, because I certainly wouldn't agree to it. If it was like that.
Well, I think I think this is how we
That's the whole point. You're moving it out.
look.
So it's
Yeah,
not
but if
nothing.
people.
Look, I think, Pauline, we need to draw, we need to draw this. Yeah, we need to draw this to a close now. We've had a long discussion, we've had several meetings now where we've discussed this and several emails. I think we've got to the point, we've got a way forward. Let's go that way. And, you know, Kay and Steve have been down there, come up with a good suggestion. Let's just make sure that suggestion will fly. If it does, then you'd be happy, Pauline. And just make sure everybody else is happy as well. Okay, all right, let's take it on from there. Is there anything else to the open forum before we move into this? Okay, in that case, let's go on. No apologies for absence. We've got this declaration of interest, but it's a personal interest. This is for Councillors Ford and Bradbury and myself, are directors of Castlethorpe Community Space DIC, which is runs the Clubhouse. But it's a personal interest, as we don't have a financial interest in it. Does anyone else want to declare any interest? I've got a feeling I need to declare an interest in the RFO, the Zoom license. So if I could do that, please. Anybody else got any? No. Okay. Then minutes of the last meeting. Are there any matters of fact that anyone would like to raise in the draft minutes? That need to be changed. In which case, can I have a propose? You propose, I need a seconder, which is Kay, and all in favour, so that's unanimous. Right, we now move to reports. The clerk's report, what I will try and do now for people watching on the live stream is I will attempt to share this.
It hasn't changed much from last time because I've not been here.
Yeah.
Haven't had anything. Taken a few off, but haven't had anything.
So let me see if I can do a share. I'm sure it will. that screen. There we go. I don't know. Everybody could read that. Item 1, Richard Pryor has now received his response to the Freedom of Information request for the NCP. It's a huge lot of paperwork as usual, so he's got to basically plough through that.
Judging from previous thing from the council, there's going to be lots of redactions in it, or bits blacked out.
Well, we'll see. Yes, he really hasn't had to. He only got it today, I mean. Are there any items? And again, I'll just scroll down this so that people watching on YouTube can actually.
A question on item 2 about the holes in the drain in the field. Ian, has that got any worse since?
It's because it's dried out, there'll be more holes in there. I haven't had a chance to get hold of Michael Lever. Once I do this week, hopefully, I've got everything been going on around it. I shall get him to go up there. As I've said to Jackie, I think your primary problem is where you go through the gate, where the worst hole is. There to the road is blocked. That's why it's built up pressure and pushed it out. Not the field it goes. Therefore, it becomes the council's job.
Yeah. Probably about 6 weeks ago, I was talking to Luke Stacey, and he wasn't sure where that drain came from.
Storm drains from Lodge Farm Court
It's a storm drain from Lodge Farm Court.
on the buildings or the other part.
Right.
Comes directly from where that big long barn is, taking that little paddock, there across there.
Oh, good lord. Okay, so it doesn't run up the full length of Castle Field.
No,
It just comes across in like.
nine was a bit, three Jackie went first, it's one to do 3, and then you'll see it goes off.
So is it their responsibility to fix it?
So,
Whoever's at the other end of it?
no, it's going out into the road, into the sewer.
I was just hoping it wasn't ours.
No, but what I'm saying, if I get my believer up there with a draining off, we can push it through and see how far it goes before it's blocked into the road. Therefore, from the gate to the road where it's blocked, it's down in the council.
From the gate to the road, indeed, yes, that bit will be, but repairing it is going to be our responsibility.
In the field,
We can build, and that just waits for Michael and the archaeology.
we just wait quietly and just put the few pots in when.
Just so you know what we're talking about, there's a drain in Castle Field which broke over the winter. But Castle Field is a scheduled ancient monument, and you can't put a spade in the soil without having a supervising archaeologist. So the repair is like 200 quid or something. The supervising archaeologist is like £2,000. You know, I mean, it's just
Ridiculous.
We're going to say it's a Saxon drain. They could fix it.
yeah.
Get a Saxon.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on through this. Are there any other items that any councillor would like to? Steve.
Number 7, Chair.
Yeah.
What's this all about? And who would be using the kit? Who would be doing the training? Is it
It's not verified, and if you've got to do it there, Steve.
There's a bleed control kit.
It's it's a big control kit. They're putting them out. It's got bogged down because it was announced with a bit of fanfare by the police that they were going to be distributing these bleed control kits to the parishes. Richard Bradley recommended that they were actually kept in the defibrillator cabinets, which kind of makes sense. And when they turn up, they got delayed because there was some problem about distributing them to businesses elsewhere in Milton Keynes or something. They didn't have a master list, whatever. It's a police distribution problem. When they turn up, we will have to talk to Richard about whether it's just obvious that a bleed control kit, you just put it on somebody's wound and do it, or whether you need training to do it.
Okay.
Okay. but that's what it is.
So really, it's just to be developed, this
Yeah.
demonstration.
Yeah.
Stand by, we're just carrying the tourniquets, yeah,
Okay, right.
Maybe it's just a fancy tool.
and a plastic.
Right.
Yeah.
I suppose there's no news, Steve, have you noticed, it's whether the swale at Carrington Road has been cleared?
Well, there was a drainage story there the other day, and I asked them, I said, what you doing? And there were two culverts that are blocked.
Yeah,
Well, we've only been told to do one. I said, well, who commissioned you to do the work? And they said it was Stonewater. But they said it was the builders,
Yeah.
generally. So they got a big lorry with a big drainage pipe and pump. And the ditch now seems to be empty, but the culvert still seems to be blocked. Now, I don't know what the kind of driver was for them coming along and actually unblocking it or putting the drainage pump down there. But it seems that they still haven't fixed that one, and the one up in the swale just hasn't been touched.
okay. So who was it spoke to or contacted Stonewater? Was it you, Steve, or was it Jackie?
Well, we've tried Stonewater and it's fallen on stony ground. We just aren't able to get. I've tried Milton Keynes Council and they don't seem to want to know.
Have you spoken to the flood?
Yeah,
Flood officer. I forgot his name.
I'll carry on with that because at the parish forum they did a
Oh, yes, that's right. It
presentation,
turned out,
so
didn't it?
I'll follow up and say, well, these do seem to be a kind of flood risk.
Yeah.
I think you'll find Stonewater from here to Timbuktu. Once they finish the site, they're gone. It's in the Farmers Weekly the other week. Numbers have been in the Farmers Weekly. They've had sites down in Dorset, etc.
Yeah,
That's been a problem.
well, as
You've got to
as
keep
maybe,
going.
we will just have to keep banging on.
And of course, the other
Okay.
thing is the swales completely overgrowing again.
Yeah. All right, okay, well, if you could continue your good efforts, Steve, I
Well,
appreciate that.
I'll try.
Anything else on items 9 to 13?
Obviously, number 12.
Yeah,
Obviously, he was asked to get a skip in and cut all down that road by the gates, I think.
I'm sorry, which number 12? Carrington Arms, yeah. Oh, right, indeed, yes.
And the skip's now gone, but it's cut all down all the rubbish out. Well, the point is, he won't, on sound it, he won't let them in the place and show them where the cellars collapsed in.
No, well, look, they're two separate things. We raised the point under a piece of law which I accidentally fell across just before the last meeting, which is about the local authority's power to make landowners clean up their property. And Jackie put that in, but as it happened, the skip had arrived pretty much at the same time anyway. So I don't suppose it was the cause of it. But you can make them clean up the property. Conservation are reportedly have got a periodic inspection of that, but as you know, they're not getting access to the cellars. This is the Carrington Arms we're talking about over the way that's gently collapsing.
The only other way in is for them to go to next door neighbours and ask them to put through.
Yeah, well, that would be another thing, I guess. But I mean, it's got to be conservation. Yeah. All right, look, we must keep moving on this. All right, anything else on the clerk's report that anyone wants to raise? All right, let's move on then.
But just one thing is not on it, is the outstanding work on street lights. Now, last week, Thursday and Friday, the chap was working at Bullington End Road. I think he's put different tops on one of the Bullington End Road or put new bulbs. Because he blocked the traffic for hours and hours and hours, Bullington End Road.
Changing the bolts. You were doing it on Station Road as well.
There are two projects going on. There's our project, which was to replace the Common and Garden streetlights with the Heritage style streetlights. There is a separate project which we were actually piggybacking on the back of, which is the Milton Keynes project to change all the street lights from halogen to LED.
Yeah.
And there are a number of lights in the village which are still halogen, orange ones, particularly in the conservation area, as it happens. I imagine that might be part of that. But they haven't sent their bill in yet for the street lights, which is very good because it helps our cash flow over what would have been very difficult June and July. Right, can we move on to the other reports? Yeah. So there's no ward councillors present, as we mentioned earlier. I will talk about the NCP consultation. There was a delegated decision last Tuesday to actually start.
Stop sharing the Clerk's report.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all I can see on the screen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so there was a delegated decision last Tuesday to start the consultation of the draft new city plan. Richard, who's, I have to say, puts me to shame, he's very much on top of this, Richard Pryor, sent it through to me, which I circulated to councillors, but this is really for residents to be aware that this plan will be coming out. It will affect the shape of Milton Keynes as the administration is looking to basically double the size of it to 500,000 people by 2050. And so it's obviously you've got to build a lot more houses in order to do that. It does look at this stage that the draft plan will not affect the villages of Hanslope, Haversham, or most importantly, Castlethorpe. But as we've discussed at previous meetings, that was also the case in Milton Keynes East. And then suddenly at the last minute, they did a switcheroo and started building 3,000 houses near Walsall and so on, which did upset them. They were not favoured development areas, and then suddenly they became favoured after everyone had the opportunity to object. You know, so it was very naughty. You know, it lulled them into a false sense of confidence, and then suddenly changed, and so they had all these houses in front of them. But anyway, there we go. So I'm sure the ward councillors would have spoken about that, and residents, I think, when this thing comes out, it's a painful read because it's very long. Or will be very long when the final version is published, but it is important for us all. Right, if I now move on then to the Clubhouse report, and I'll see if I can share that screen. It's actually a bit painful waiting to go. I'm going to throw on this. So, as we reported at the previous meeting, the pavilion side is now in use by the cricket club, and they're very pleased with it. They've got much larger, much nicer changing rooms. It's all very good. The clubhouse side is nearing completion. The landscaping's been completed, including the front and rear access paths, and the grass has been seeded. It's currently being decorated inside, and that should be finished by this Friday. In fact, actually, he thinks this Thursday, but call it this week. And I do want to put on record, this is being done by Hipfords for free as a donation to the village. It was previously costed at £4,000. So this is a huge donation that Hickford Construction are making to the village, and I hope that will be recognised. Once decorated, the electricians will do the second fix, basically putting the lights in, because most of the sockets are actually there already. The kitchen and servery floor will be laid. and snagging completed. We're currently expecting the building to be handed over to us on the 16th of July, but we are trying to persuade or Hickfords to bring it forward just by a couple of days for the 12th. So that is what we actually call phase one, which is the main contract that we let. We then have what I started to call the last meeting. I put a couple of pictures in. The phase 1A, which is once we've got the building, community space volunteers will fit the kitchen equipment that we purchased for cricket tees and will lay flooring. Well, sorry, the volunteers won't lay the flooring. Flooring will be laid in the social area, so the entire building will then have flooring laid through it. Now, what we're hoping to do is, if Hickfords will give us the pavilion on the clubhouse on the 12th, then we're hoping to be able to give the building to QC Flooring, who won the contract for the flooring between the 15th, which is the Monday, and the 19th, which is the Friday. So we'll have a week to get the latex down and do the floor. Now we're now getting very tight on top. There's a resolution tonight, and I put in a picture of the skeleton counter there, which was just put in really so to hold up the end of the plumbing that's been put in. Yeah, it would be nice if it could have a front and a top on it, and so there is a resolution tonight to ask you to approve. I think it's up to £2,000 for materials, which we would then free issue to a Cosgrove chippy, who is estimating probably 2 to 3 days work at £250 a day. So I'm asking for authority up to 1,000 on that, but we'll come to that later on. So that would then have the counter. And the point about that is that the inside of the clubhouse will then look finished. Lights, not used, but it will have lights, flooring, decorated. It just needs furnishing and some more kitchen equipment. We have also got the £5,000 from the Community Foundation, and there's a list of approved items for that. And I'm going to ask you to give Jackie authority to basically purchase those items once Lawrence Chapman has identified the ones that he thinks are most useful in that list, which certainly includes the fridge and dishwasher. And then we'll get that installed as well. So the kitchen will be moving on a bit, but it won't be complete. The humorous aside is that Gigaclear are due to install broadband on the 11th of July. It's not time critical. Actually, this is being recorded on YouTube, isn't it? I'll stop it there. So I do want to make the point that the clubhouse will not be available for use other than by cricket, partly because its fittings and furnishings are rudimentary, because what will happen is cricket will bring up their existing tables and chairs, which are sort of this sort of standard, from the football pavilion where they've been stored while building work was going on. And that's fine for cricket tees, but it's not for a nice cafe cum bar. And also we need to sort out some of the governance arrangements, as we're going to come on to in resolution 7.4.3, which is getting some tax advice. The complete fit out, has been specified, but it requires about £20,000, which we currently don't have. We have got one grant application into National Lottery, which we should get a decision on that by the middle of August. And we resolved at the last meeting to get a grant writing consultant who actually did our national lottery one for us, but we're now employing him directly to write an application for £20,000 to Biffa. So, you know, we're hoping we'll get one or the other, which is necessary in order for us to proceed. I should say that every month I do a cash flow for the parish council, as you know. I haven't bored you with it this time. Well, I bored Steve and Jackie a bit. But it does look as if our finances are gradually improving as the year has gone by. Just, you know, you start off with a fairly pessimistic and conservative view, and it is improving. So we might be able to do something ourselves if all else fails, but we'll review that, you know, when we get there, not now. So hopefully we'll get a Biffa decision by November.
You'll be lucky, boy, with Biffa. You'll be very lucky with Biffa, because they've sold out now.
Have they?
They've sold Milton Keynes Park has been sold.
Well,
The company, I don't know if it's the same people that are doing the dustbin lorries now, but they bought 3 or 4 companies within Milton Keynes, and Biffa is one of them.
okay. Well, it actually doesn't go through Biffa. It
No.
goes through a rather bizarre
Wildlife Trust.
a wildlife trust. But anyway, we've got those in hand.
Yeah.
And then phase 3 is operation. The community interest company has to consider how the clubhouse will be operated, and specifically whether it tries to run it itself, or whether it subleases it to a tenant. The decision can't be made until firstly phase 2 is committed, i.e. the place is furnished and usable. And also until we've sorted out these governance arrangements, which will probably take a month or so. I have written here the CCS board, I think, favours a sublease, because direct operation, even with the employment of staff, would require a significant commitment in terms of time and so on by the CCS directors, which is probably unreasonable. As well as we'd have to provide working capital for stock and all of those things. So I think we probably do favour a sublease, but we do have to get the governance sorted out, and we do need to get the money for the fit out as well. Hopefully
Would you not
we'll
consider fundraising events for that? Because the whole village would be interested in having something that provides alcohol anyway.
You're new.
Well,
It's the Castlethorpe Parish race, and it's
Yeah.
keeping with people spending money, so
yeah,
are people not interested?
I mean,
in the village?
we have we may do this in due course, but 20,000 is still quite a lot to
Yeah,
raise.
it's
Yeah, I mean, if you take the church, you know, they did have a certain amount from people in the village, but the bulk of the money came from grants. In fact, they lent us, or not lent us, they gave us their grant list, and Steve went through it and saw which ones would be applicable to us, which is what we're doing. So there might be other ways forward, but we actually have got, you know, a couple of bullets in our gun at the moment, which we'd like to see through.
It might be beneficial though to think about if you were going to sublease it beforehand, because if you, for example, I'd be interested in subleasing it, and if that's the case, as a local businesswoman that speaks to people all the time, could rally people up to, I have people every day
Yeah.
asking me about.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I'm sorry, I do have to say, we are actually in the parish council meeting, so.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But, you know, we will look at other ways. I mean, we've had very much our heads down on getting the construction completed and what I call phase 1A, which is the next stage, is to get the place effectively finished but not furnished. It's really now we need, and that's taken a huge amount of effort by the basically by the 6 people who are the directors, 3 of them are residents. So we can look at other things. But we would look to making a decision on as to whether we would interest in sublease somewhere around about the August time period, I think. Because hopefully we'll get later August, I think. So because hopefully we'll have our tax advice by then, which is one of the critical items. Okay, now, councillors, given that there are these resolutions later on, now would be a good time if you've got any questions about them.
No,
Thank you.
Okay.
no, we've read everything that you said.
Yeah, very good. Right, in that case, let's move on. Public art. I'll see if I can, oops, stop the share. And I'll just see if I can get the public art report. I did pop one on the file for everybody. I mean, basically, you've got these ideas that are coming up, and well, actually, I won't share this. We'll just talk it through, shall we? There's one is to create a community art garden next to the new clubhouse using recycled materials. These are these are, well, it's Matt and Carrie, as you can see, are leading on that. You really need to get a designer in and get some idea as to what it would cost. They've even suggested having a ball garden, you know, per tank. This is, as you can see, basically an email that I've sent to the officer of Milton Keynes Council. A second idea is to paint murals inside the bus shelters, the full-size mosaics that were suggested, where they'd work with the school and various other community groups, put Castlethorpe themes in there. Did come out quite expensive. I mean, we could probably do one, but we couldn't do all three at that sort of size. We are looking to see whether we could paint on tiles or murals in there. There's a suggestion of having some kind of backlit glasswork in the shop, again with a theme of Castlethorpe in there. And we still got this village sign that we may have to use some of the money for that. Obviously, Lawrence has been absolutely.
No, we've looked at it.
Yeah,
I've sent out a mail saying we think it's done.
the whole thing is done.
Well, no,
Yeah,
not all of it now.
yeah.
No, it's it's not a good state.
I mean, the real question is whether we're going to need to commission for the whole sign to be redone. If that's the case, then at some point we're going to have to find someone who's going to do that, and all the surrounding framework, because I think the post is also pretty wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the brickwork base is looking. Doesn't look great.
Is the actual sign itself, is that wrong as well?
Well, it's in 3 pieces. Well, the sign's fine.
It has been there quite a while.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, the sign's broken.
So we may need to have a separate project to cost up what this is going to take to get that sign done, because there's a lot of people I'm sure say to you, or you know, what's happened to our village sign?
It's in the storeroom in the back there.
Yeah, no.
You can tell it and have a look at it.
So we need to do that. I mean, we've got, I think it's 38,000, isn't it, that we've got all together.
And that would be valuable for public art, would it?
Well, I think so. I mean, I have written in this note to Louise Izod, I've said these are all the projects, you know, we need a bit of help on a couple of them, there's artists' names and so on, but also, can you confirm that they are all public art?
I mean, that would be an ideal use for it, because it's something we'd have to do anyway.
Yeah,
It's safe to think about anything else as well.
That's right.
yeah. Anyway, there we go. I mean, the process will be that when this work group has gone its way through, then we'll bring the ideas to the parish council. The parish council say, you're losing that. I mean, I would pretty much say that if we get a proposal for the village sign, we'd probably do that first anyway.
Yeah.
Because, it just is as it is. Okay, can I move on? Yeah, move on. Right. So I'm now looking at planning applications, 55. Oh, parishes four. Parishes four. Steve's put a note out on that. Did you want to speak on that?
No, it's pretty uneventful. I mean, there were no opportunities in there. I had a word with Tony Rice before I went up there about the youth group, and he was unaware of them. It's effectively just a means for young people to get involved in Milton Keynes, but there are contacts on each of them for further information.
Okay.
And also in that the police are planning to reinvigorate neighbourhood watches, and we used to have one in Castlethorpe.
Well, there's probably more than one.
Yeah, there used to be signs in South Street about it, but it would be nice if we could actually reinvigorate one here as well.
There were, but I think it's more of a resident-led thing rather than a parish council-led thing. But any publicity that we can give it, the police are there, and so maybe put something on Facebook.
Okay.
Or something there.
Okay, anything else on? No. Right, let's move on to planning then. 55 Thrupp Close. Had a lot of difficulty, I don't know if any of you did as well, in actually viewing the planning app on the planning portal, and Jackie did as well.
I looked at it when it first came up and it was fine then.
It was fine more recently than that. I looked at it
Well,
4 days ago.
Yeah, yesterday and today it wasn't working.
Oh.
Anyway, and it's a let's not go there. So I did pop up the elevations, the existing and proposed, onto shared file, which Jackie had actually managed to get, so that we could look at it. Does anyone wish to, voice any objection to this?
I think it was it's with the neighbouring properties.
It's there for a good reason, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as we don't set a precedent like they've started to make garages into houses down at Shepperton, that's our only.
Well, Shepperton's, slightly different, because it's so diarised. I mean, the thing about, no, anyway, no objections, no, I think. Does anyone want to raise any questions on section 6, which is report back on previous planning applications?
6.1, I don't know what you've done, got to say, but I think you'll find it's going to go forward very fast, because I know certain people have been in there, have been asked to take the buildings down that are on site, etc. They're all being taken down, the site's being cleared of anything. Ready for it to go forward. No, you know that.
He's talking about
This
is the industrial development. I'm kind of surprised here, because I don't think it had gone through yet.
No, it hasn't come through. It hasn't gone through yet.
Yeah.
But they have been asked to clear the site, etc., etc., etc.
Okay. Well,
They've got
Look.
and floor reviews are anything about 2 or 3 months. Yes, Goldlock are trying to get out a survey to raise enough money on the highways issues, which are actually just.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really telling you.
yeah. Well,
Also got the biggest problem, flooding, anyway, stop.
yeah.
And they've got to put a balance in like, where you're gonna put a country park, and they've got to put a dam system. Which has got to be maintained,
Yeah.
well, new pool,
Yeah.
it's all others, then
Yeah.
it won't go through that quick.
No. I think, that we could spend a lot of time talking.
No, I suggest we go through Great Law.
That's fair enough, yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, all the candidates in the election for Cosgrove area, or apart from the Reform candidate, are all against it.
Yeah.
So that's good news as well.
So we shouldn't vote
Okay.
reform then.
Right, so if there are no other questions on section 6, let's move on to section 7 resolutions. So 7.1, we will have a part 2 just to discuss this other matter. So I'll propose that, and have a second, and all in favour, it's Russell. All in favour, yeah? Right, 7.2 is the statutory consultation to amend the speed limit to 50 miles an hour approaching Castlethorpe. Now, when this was originally pointed out to me, it was, I spoke to email Keith Wheeler, the road safety officer of North Kings Council, and he said it's because Haversham have requested and been granted a 20-mile-an-hour area through Haversham. Fair enough, we've got one. You can't go directly from 60 to 20, so you have to have a buffer area. And it was all down to being a buffer area. And I said, well, that's a long way. Is that really right? And so I wrote a fairly stiff response to him saying I thought this was overreach. Now, remember, some of the roads, it includes the road from the dips up to Bullington End and onto Hanslow. And Hanslow, Alison Andrew has told me that Hanslow Parish Council are very supportive. They basically say anything that reduces speeds coming into the village, we welcome. Bullington End Road, I don't think we'd have a problem with, other than that we'd actually been asking for a 40-mile-an-hour limit before beyond Glenmore Farm for some time. And why this road traffic order doesn't include that, I don't know. And there was, I don't know the details of it, of course, perhaps someone else here does, but there was a fatal RTA at that junction of Bullington End Road and that other road. And that is a really nasty bend as you come up from the dips to that junction. It's completely unsighted. And I would have thought that it wouldn't be a bad idea to start a 40-mile-an-hour area just before that, carry it right on into the village, and then perhaps just stop it just on the other side of those houses at Bullington End. But I would have thought that would have been a safe thing to do. I don't much care about the road from there on into Hanslow, because Hanslow wanted 50. They're the parish council. I do care about Bullington End Road. Now, but the road that I also care about in the other sense is the road from Haversham to Castlethorpe. And I mean, people do say, oh, we'll just get people to drive slow and all this. I mean, I'm not a fast driver anymore. Not anymore. But even I noticed, sort of looking consciously at my speedometer coming along that road, if it's a clear day and there's no traffic, I am sort of doing about 55 in places along there. It's just normal driving. And I don't really see why it's any different to any other bit of road.
On this map though, it hasn't got from here and like that side, is it?
No.
I mean, Milton Keynes Council class Bullington End Road is the road from top of what we know as Bullington End Road down to the dips. In this, as far as I can see.
Well, I mean, there's okay. I thought it was called unnamed road. Just to say the point. So, I mean, you may feel that you would like it to be 50, and that's fair enough. But I personally think it is a little bit of overreach and unnecessary to do that. They will need a buffer immediately outside of Haversham, and that's fair dues. I don't actually mind whether it's 40 or 50.
It does say in the document with the reasoning why the council wants it, that the average speed is about 43 miles an hour.
Well, the average speed will be about 40 whatever miles an hour. You get stuck behind a tractor or a slow vehicle, you will go slow. It's not really, the average speed is irrelevant. It's what is a safe maximum speed is what the speed limit ought to be setting. Now, that is just my view on that. Now, I did then suddenly picked up that this was actually a Thames Valley police request. So I asked Tilly, but it was only last week when I got back, if she could try and find out for us. And of course, she was on rest days until Friday, I think. And she has been trying to find out. She did speak to her inspector today. I saw her at the duck race as well and reminded her. And he said that there are some discussions going on between TVP and Milton Keynes Council, but they didn't know, they didn't have access. They didn't know anything about what those discussions were. So I don't know. That's the background of my 2 pennies worth and why it's on the agenda. I don't count on this.
But we got to wait and see what the magical people think.
I'm sorry.
And we've got to wait and see what the magical people think up there.
Well,
We've got to respond to it.
Yeah, no, we need to. This has been circulated as a draft TRO for consultation.
I mean, I think there are much bigger priorities in the area. I don't see a particular problem. Okay, there's been one death, but which is unfortunate and sad, but I mean, anything could have caused that. Some idiot driving badly. I don't see anything. I mean, a lot of the roads are kind of self-regulating anyway, and that you can't.
Yeah.
I'm the same. When I first saw this, my initial reaction was probably the same as Angela's. Any reduction in speed, you've always got to say, okay, that's fine, it's a country road. I get it in the neck from my wife all the time when she's sitting next to me and I'm driving. I'm going far too fast. Albeit,
Well, there is no right speed though.
well, there isn't. But so I personally can't get too excited about this,
No.
but I don't see any reason to object.
Okay, so you don't want to check.
I would personally support it.
Or we reject it, don't we?
Okay,
I
Would
don't
take this for the road in Hanlow as well.
okay.
I don't feel strongly enough about it, but I do think it's a waste of public money.
I mean, I do feel strongly about Bullington End Road.
Yeah, Bullington Road,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely support that, but I do think that the one from the dips up to the width restriction at the end of North Street, I just don't understand why they would make that, because it's a.
No, and indeed, also the road from Haversham to the dips, or more to the point to Pine Farm.
Yeah,
You slow down there for obvious reasons.
I think where the lay-by is, before you get into Haversham, would be a good point to actually slow people down.
But I'm getting the feeling that Russell, Dave, Steve.
I'm not sure, anything on Bullington End would be great, but it's not, 50 will not do anything. We might, you know, weekends, you get idiots that go past my house and then Ian's and they're easily doing 60 or 70 by the time they hit Ian's.
I was big Bill's coaches today, whoever was driving that one. They were coming down past me, and I bet they were doing a good 50 mile an hour before they braked to come through the road.
Yeah, wheels will come off.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of our feedback on this. Could be just, we would like 40 miles an hour on Bullington.
Yeah, I think we support that, but not the rest of it. I just think it's a waste of public money personally. And who's actually going to police it? Who is going to get people to slow down on that road?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a genuine point that it is pretty much unenforceable.
Yeah.
I mean, we struggle getting them to enforce inside the village. That they haven't been enforced for some time. You know. But so what is our response going to be then? Is it that we are disappointed that there is not a 40 mile an hour limit in Bullington End Road, and potentially at the junction with the unnamed road at Bullington End?
This would be a perfect opportunity.
Which would be a good opportunity to do that.
Piggyback.
And
absolutely.
do we, but I'm getting the feeling that the majority don't support me in saying that it should be unrestricted.
I support that.
You do.
I absolutely support the fact that I don't think they should do anything on the road.
So that's 3 of us. You do.
Happy, and then also Wolverton Road.
By the way, that bit of road at the end of Bullington End Road, isn't that called Park Road?
Goes past Sandslow Park.
Oh, that's past
Sandslow
bit before as well.
Okay, actually, so I stand corrected then. So there's actually 4 of us who are saying that we would like Wolverton Road, which is the name of the road from here right into Haversham, to remain at the national limit, other than the necessary
Places.
buffer zone on the entrance to Haversham.
Where's it
Okay. But we would also like a 40-mile-an-hour limit in Bullington End Road and preferably on the unnamed road at close to the junction or by the junction, Bullington End Road,
At the end of
and
it.
everything,
Yeah.
at Bullington End itself, because that is dangerous.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We respond on that.
That's my one.
Okay.
That's, around.
You better not be watching.
Right, 7.3 then, to consider responding to the local government boundary commission. We have discussed this before. I have put in a personal comment, which was, whatever you do, please keep Hounslow, Haversham and Castlethorpe together. Honestly, I mean, if they're going to break out Newport Pagnell and they have to jiggle around with the rest of it to get it to the right size, it's beyond my brain or actual energy level, to be honest. Do we want to put a response in, please keep us together, or?
I think so.
I think we should, I think we should put that out.
Okay, can we do that then? Yeah.
So we managed to change the boundaries in several constituencies, so that Bletchley and Buckingham have one constituency, and Berkhamsted, Tring and Harpenden, which is a long way away.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a big area.
Yeah, but that's, hang on, that's the
Yes.
the national, we're just talking about the.
Is this, Milton Keynes imposing these changes, not?
No, there's an independent body called the Local Government Boundary Commission. And it goes round all the local authorities in the country, cycles round. They must have done it here. Last time they did it was when we got 3 councillors per ward. I can't remember when that was, about 10 years ago.
That's got to be a good 10 years.
Yeah. Anyway, which again, I personally didn't like. I liked it when we had one councillor with a smaller ward, but there you go.
Can we say that we value our position as a mostly rural ward? And so if we say that, then we'd like to remain against that.
Yeah, we'd like to remain rural.
The
we'd
villages
like-
we actually work with.
Yeah.
I think it's really important.
Well, we all share the same interests, don't we?
Yeah.
Through the-
Yeah, shed such
Yeah,
as.
we work with Haversham and Hounslow.
Bring that up, it works out.
Yeah, and, yeah. Okay,
Nice one.
very good. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Right, let's move on then to the community space, the clubhouse stuff. So first of all, authorising expenditure on using the community foundation grant. We can't use that money for anything else. We have received that money, I think. haven't we?
Yeah.
So that money's in our account. As I said in the introduction, Lawrence has identified a list of equipment. He's got a couple more bits to do. I'm basically proposing that we authorise Jackie to take that list, perhaps with 2 councillors checking it. I won't be around much, but I mean, Steve and Russell, and and on that basis, then place the orders.
Yeah.
Not a problem. It's not hugely, well, actually, delivery is a key point. It mustn't come too early because we've got nowhere to put it. We do need to actually have the clubhouse handed over to.
Well, you need the floor done, don't you, before you put anything in there?
Yes, yeah, it's all kitchen stuff, so the floor should be done by the 12th, basically. So after the 12th. Okay, so we ought to have I'll propose and we'll all in favour. Thank you. Second one is to approve the purchase of the countertop, counter front and top. I've already explained, Lawrence is working on the materials for that. He thinks the materials should be within £2,000 and the labour is probably well under 1,000. But if we put those amounts and then ask give authority to Jackie to spend up to that, that will,
Will I not have to get 3 quotes?
no, because it's under 2,000. It's we're going to issue
Two separate things, one is.
Well,
You really
it's
can't.
actually materials and labour,
Yeah,
we're
it's
doing
the same.
separately, aren't we?
yeah, we're doing, yeah,
Yeah,
material.
So the materials have come to under 2,000, and then we need a position in such a way.
Because I think that you could split
But,
things
yeah, there's,
Well, we're going to be buying the individual items of equipment ourselves. You'll place an order for that. Probably, I think it's Wicks is going to.
I think, yeah, I think said works.
And I mean, as it happens, he has looked at the number of suppliers,
Right, so.
including
Thousands and being here.
yeah. So he has looked at that, but this one will match better, and it is under 2,000, and then we need to employ someone just to put it in for us. Yes,
I don't suppose we looked at public art for this, have we?
it wouldn't be.
It would, couldn't,
Probably,
yeah. Okay.
So again, I propose, and
The bicycle rack is,
not bicycle.
condition of planning.
Yeah, and funny enough, actually, we approved this is my mistake, we approved the bicycle rack purchase ages ago, it's only about 130 quid. And we wanted Hickfords to clear some, have you all been up there, by the way?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Looks brilliant.
it really is brilliant, isn't it? And the way they've done the restored the car parking area is really good.
Yeah, it looks
I mean,
really, really
it puts
good,
the original bit of the car parking area to shame. And they've seeded it all. They've done a fantastic job. Anyway, so the bicycle rack, which is a planning condition, as Russell said, if you look at the front of the garage, it will go on the left-hand side of it. Yeah, so not the pavilion side, the other side. And people will just be able to put their racks, their bike in a rack then. Okay, moving on, 7.4.3. Last meeting, I advised that the internal auditor had recommended that we got some advice on VAT, professional advice on that. Jackie went through BALC and got, because they have some free advice available to them, got that free advice. And it was very difficult to understand, to say the least. It went on, and it said, "This is the end of the free bit. Any more, you've got to pay me." But I mean, in fairness, he had done a slab of work.
He
It
gave us some scope for discussion.
Yeah, if we could understand what he was saying.
Yeah, that's right.
It would have been good. But this subsequently, Steve and I have had meetings both with Jane Olive and with Lisa Bradley, who you may or may not know is actually the responsible financial officer at Campbell Park Parish Council. And they've got a project like ours, but just with a naught on the end of everything. So instead of being, 350, it's 3.5 million. Instead of borrowing 50,000, then borrowing 500,000. It's that sort of thing. So, and they've got their concerns about VAT liabilities and how you've got to structure things in such a way that you don't end up having to pay it back. That's basically the thing.
Right.
So we'll go into that in a bit more detail. I think we ought to, I think we now need to go back to Steve Parkinson, the Parkinson Partnership, who gave us this advice. And I'd like Jackie to be authorised to do that. The downside risk, if this, isn't managed properly, is huge. And the cost of this will be, I would think, probably under 1,000, but I'm sure of that. So are we all okay with that? Yeah. And the draft terms of reference are in the part 2 thing that we can go through.
Actually, Chair, I think for financials, we ought to have a second as well.
Okay, no,
So I'll second.
right, okay.
We've had the vote already.
And we've had the vote already. 744, to obtain the necessary insurances, buildings, BNI. We will need to have the building insured ourselves from handover, which I think we ought to plan on being the 12th. It might be as late as the 16th. It's a weekend.
Jackie, you right if I'll come round and we do that together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it cheaper to do the insurance with the village hall and the clubhouse together? Or not?
It will be.
It's all.
It's all.
But it's all on one policy, yeah. And it's already insured, but of course, the terms have changed.
I think we previously had discussions and said that the clubhouse ought to be insured, or that building ought to be insured for 600,000 now. And I did actually bounce that off Alan Hickford at one point, and he said, yeah, he thought that was about right as well. Yeah, so but I think we discussed that, Jackie. Right, 7.5 then is to authorise the clerk to sign the contract for purchase of land outside the shop to the sum of 2,000 and to make payment. That actually already has been reimbursed. CBSA sent that money into the parish council account today, mainly because the final contract turned up today. And with me being off, I didn't want to be, cause any delay in that. So the parish councils had that money, which was as undertaken. So there's no cost to the parish council. Peter Clark, who's now the company secretary of the shop association, is going through the sale contract. He's made a few comments, which I think he would like just to be taken up with MKCC or their solicitor. None of them are showstoppers. Once that's resolved, then I think Jackie, again, perhaps with advice from 2 councillors, I think like her to sign that contract on our behalf, and make payment, which will be done, does need to be done before our next meeting. So it will be an out of meeting authorisation is what I'm asking for here. So once the contract's signed, Jackie will raise the payment on the system, and 2 councillors will need to authorise it in the usual way. But not wait for the, is it the 4th of September, is it? Yeah. Because we might get it done in next week or something. I mean, it's just too long to wait.
So who were the 2 councils?
Is that an online authorisation?
Yeah, well, there's 2, sorry, there are 2 things. One is to authorise Jackie to sign the contract.
Okay.
So 2 councillors ought to do that.
So would that be by email?
Yeah, that's fine. Anyone. Yeah. The second thing is that I'm saying once the contract is signed, Jackie will then raise the purchase order, and in accordance with our normal practice anyway, 2 councillors who can not be in because he's not blind, and I'm never sure what state you're in, Steve, but anyway, 2 other councillors could then approve the payment in the way we normally approve payment. That's what we'd like to do. Yeah, is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Good, sorry, I propose your second.
Yeah,
here we go. So we now move on to this month's RFO payment schedule. And I'm just looking at this actually. So
I have a query about the gas supply of the village hall, because the heating's been off, and it seems to have lost money, £143 for the month.
Yeah, more likely to be estimated.
Well, it's a smart meter.
Yeah, but that hasn't stopped them.
That's stopping doing what they're doing. Well, I'll tell you,
But
tell it.
They do charge month. Is it Scottish Power now? Is it still heating?
No, you've got ABS,
We should be able to see whether they've actually charged us an estimated fee or a meter fee.
Yeah, it's just a matter of checking the meter readings.
Oh, well, check it out.
Yeah, the bill will have a meter reading on it, and it should,
Yeah, so they tally.
as Ian says, they may simply have put an estimate in.
We've got an interest in.
Oh, sorry, Ian. Yeah, well, I'll discuss everything else that's out there.
I'll check that.
I need to talk to you about PRS as well afterwards, Jackie.
Okay.
Isn't that not on this payment, is it?
It's on there because. we're
Speaking of
in the
PRS,
September,
Yeah.
so if we get it free.
You don't need to declare an interest in that.
No, I'm not.
No,
I
I've got
just
to
need
check.
Oh, right, okay.
I was just looking at the,
Yeah, only thing-
music license.
Yeah,
Is there a tool, someone's question?
The only thing I haven't done is written a bill for the diesel.
Oh, yeah.
So if I do put it into Jackie, will you give permission for her to pay it on this one or before the next month, or I've got to wait till September?
Well,
Let's leave it till September, because I dare say they
probably
want
have
some
some
more,
more.
they want some more.
I mean, if you know how much it is, we could approve it if you wanted.
120 litres at 160 plus VAT, innit?
What's that?
Don't know, leave it till next month, till September.
I'll remind you.
Yeah.
I think actually, just on save me getting up and going in
Yeah.
the kitchen. I think the clerk can give dispensation, you know, if you wouldn't mind. I didn't know the annual Zoom license.
Sorry.
Pops up.
Sorry, all right. Sorry, it's not to do with this payment schedule, but things around PPO and PRS, we will need licenses for the clubhouse.
In due course, we will.
In due course, yeah. But that may well be the outcome from the CIC,
Yeah, but it will actually it'll probably be the tenant.
or maybe the 10.
Right. Any other questions? Can we then,
Yeah, that'd be good.
yeah, so, and seconded by Dave and all in favour, yeah. Good. Correspondence received. Shall I say? Oh, no, but not.
Good.
Yeah.
I've got
Getting late to do
correspondence received.
correspondence, right, what's that?
Tree.
Oh, the tree. So this is Tracy the Post, isn't it?
No.
Macquarie.
Tracy Castle.
Oh, right, okay.
She's got a different name.
Through me. Right, so Tracy next door has been given an 8-foot English oak tree. Which she's offering to the village.
8 feet.
Yeah,
That's a lot of dollars.
so
That's good.
someone would have to dig the hole, but a question about where the hole should be dug. Now, there would be a possibility to stick it in the top of Godley's Field.
How's the other one doing? Anyone looked at it lately?
That's near the new road, isn't it?
But it's nearly the road.
I've not looked at it.
No.
No,
I mean, the landowners there have pretty much agreed that we can put things in.
Yeah,
So we could put it in there. Yeah, is there anywhere else that we could think of?
Up the sports ground, where they have the nets, put it beside there,
Right at the back.
at the back of the basket, you know, where then they play in the net over the far side, put it over that side of the sports ground.
You think it'd be nicer?
I think somewhere
Because
people
I mean-
can see it, where lots of people can see it.
yeah.
Particularly with the club.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, but it's got to be out somewhere, so when it's kind of people, it's not overdoing everybody.
Yeah,
I don't know, could it be close to the clubhouse?
No.
no.
No, you've got to be joking.
Well, she says how big it grows to, 20 metres by 15 metres.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
something like that, but where we can see it.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice.
That's lovely.
Well,
suggestion.
Have an 8 foot.
So this isn't going to get in the way of cricket, is it?
No,
Yeah.
it's out on the boundary on the other side.
Steve, all the newly planted trees do very well because of the rain we've had.
Yeah,
So they'll be okay.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you?
So may I digress very quickly?
I do
Will
Is
you
the
just show-
red?
Yes.
That does
I don't know if you
connect.
noticed keep it off the floor,
Yeah,
and it's doing much better, and it actually looks nice, because the grass being cut today,
yeah,
it look a lot better.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking Zona for it. So we'll resolve to respond that yes, we would like it.
Yeah.
Go back at the sports ground.
Ian's-
I think we ought to talk to David
Yeah,
Spinelli
so-
about it, or just say, oh yeah, okay. And then we'll, and we need someone to dig a very big hole.
Actually, you can tell them that
We can have a grant to do.
we've got one.
Chat mowing the grass.
Charlie,
Charlie.
Charlie
he might be able to, but no.
or Luke might have some. No,
Then I had another one from a resident about the hedge on Thrupp Close. As you go up as you turn off the Billington.
What, on the right hand side?
Right hand side is encroaching over.
Thank you, council.
Well, I mean, that's something that happens when we get towards
This
the
time of
cones.
year.
We
So I-
can't cut it down anyway.
Could we cut the worst of it, the like
Is it-
overhanging branches?
Is it Peggy?
It's not hanging out a lot, but what I want to do the other
The
day.
one on the other side is far worse, you can't, I mean, it's really hard to get up that pathway.
Oh, that.
I brought that up last time.
sorry, which one are we talking about?
Uh,
So let's talk about, this one is the one on the right as you enter Thrupp Close.
By the
from
post box.
Bullington. Yeah, and we do cut that once a year.
Yeah, we do.
It does get overgrown by this.
No, we cut
Then
it.
we cut-
We cut it, because it's part of the
But-
landscaping contract.
Yeah.
So we do that, but we only do it once a year.
Yeah.
And I think you just ought to tell her, we cut it once a year, but we can't cut it between February and August.
Margin orders.
And we've cut it once a year for, well, ever since we realised, yeah, it was out.
So just- Is there any other?
The hedgerow that,
Does that?
The guys that,
hedge carries on the down, is when you go through the sports ground, on the left hand side going through, cars up there. I thought we were going to ask.
No,
Oh, yeah.
No.
that's-
no, the one where you go, so if you walk over the sports field from Thrupp, and you go past the clubhouse, and then you get to the
Bottom.
fence, we get to the bottom there, that's where you turn left to go to Castlethorpe Parish. Up right,
Yeah, somebody else. has
it's
written
dire,
that.
absolutely dire, and I did say that last time, and I mentioned that the laurels as well, the laurel hedges have got, and they've cut the laurel hedges, but they
Yes.
haven't done that.
Yeah.
Really bad.
They have, weed killer's been put down, but it hasn't killed the shrubs.
No,
It's
he's
put it
done on
down
the fence.
Along the fence line.
That carries on the bed, the other
No,
side.
the actual hedge is, it's literally.
Or the hedge
overhanging
on the,
whole fence.
on the back.
Bigger.
Yeah.
That's
That's
usually,
going to be done.
that's usually done once a year by Colin Judd.
Glendale will do that this year.
Yeah.
Bend down, yeah, we didn't get Colin
Yeah.
But
Judd.
again, we
yeah,
can't.
it's part of the contract to
Yeah.
cut that hedge.
Well,
To the
But
right
it's just
of
because the
Yeah,
other
come on.
is coming
Yeah.
from both sides.
Yeah.
It's a public footpath,
It is.
therefore it should be a certain,
It
it's
should.
definitely
You
not.
can't cut the hedges at this time of the year.
You can cut the overhang, that's what I was.
It's because it's coming from both sides.
You can do that, okay.
Right. There was, our PCSO sent through a crime report saying there's one incident in the last month, which was, one incident of criminal damage, which might very well.
I don't think it's, it's as if I think.
What are we doing about it? Anyway, that's probably another matter.
That's being reported to Phillips now.
And then.
Yeah, but it's not been reported to police, I don't think, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. Go on.
It went to go on it, and it wasn't there.
What's that?
Totally.
Zip wire.
Oh, is it one gone?
And the went on the grounds.
On the dog field.
Yeah, children's stable.
Yeah. Great to do that. And as we've had in our little correspondence, there does seem to be a little bit of graffiti in the village as
The
well.
tagging,
What's
Yeah.
that?
tagging, they.
Well,
Initials, they put in initials.
Yeah.
so, you know, we may need to start reporting this to.
I think we should report everything.
Yeah, I think we should.
What do we need to do about removing graffiti? Who's
Well,
responsible?
it's us, it's our.
That's it, they're adult bins.
Yeah.
Mm.
What's that? I don't know whether it's an easy solvent that will take it off, or whether, in which case we probably need to ask the chap that cleans our road signs if you'll.
Well, I'll look at the
Well,
one
he-
by me tomorrow, because there's some thingy on that one as well, so I'll have a look at it, see if it's easy to take off.
You won't get graffiti off with his, I mean, his
Eject.
equipment's washer. Pressure washer, you won't get graffiti for them. But if they're tagging, surely that leaves their initials there.
It does.
Basically, yeah.
Should it be?
Because I've got your initials on the ring.
Well, look, perhaps Jackie could, you know, lodge it
Was
with
it
them,
PFS or
and we'll actually have it as a report that we have had our disciplines.
Can't
I
remember what
did
the
send a
tag is.
picture through.
Yeah.
It's the yesterday on the way to the,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we should report everything.
Yeah. Okay, and then I think you've also all seen this National Cycle Route 6 upgrade. And I didn't read the email properly, as you probably saw.
Just need a
Repeated what
little
Jack.
group of people who will actually monitor it, that's what they're asking for, people regular use that.
No, yeah, they're just asking for to be able to engage with people who
Yeah,
use
like a
that cycle
focus
route.
we need
Not
to-
necessarily as a, yeah.
I mean, I don't mind going on it as a dog walk.
Do you go all the way down to Cosgrove? That's what they're looking
I
for,
don't.
that's what they're
Well, look,
looking for.
I think.
Can we just say, put something on Facebook and see?
And there are
yeah.
people who cycle to work down
Yeah,
every day, so that's what the people, that's those
yeah,
people.
those are the people that are ready, yeah.
I mean, I use it, but not as often.
Yeah.
As much now.
No.
I'm running and stuff.
All right, that's that. Anything else? Other business?
Yeah, there's that green that we talked about on Shepperton, there's a bench on it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely covered because it's underneath the trees, it's
Yeah.
got bird poo all over it. Can we recite it to make it actually useful? It just needs, so there's somebody's maintaining that
Better ask. Claudia.
planter. That's nothing to do with that. There's a really nicely maintained planter, stop it. The planter's lovely, and if you move the bench forwards and sat it by that planter so it's not right underneath the trees, people would actually use it. That I've just.
Moved it, it's not moved it in.
Job done. Stop it.
Okay, is it concreted in or is it?
Yeah,
I think it's
Concreted in.
it does need recording, doesn't it?
But just ignore
It's actually very solid.
Can't remember the last time I looked at them.
Just need to.
Well, look,
It just
I
needs
mean,
moving.
I,
No, for the cost of money at the moment, I don't think we need to, we'll perhaps get somebody to, I'll go down and rub it over and put some new stone or paint on it.
That's not gonna help though,
Thing is,
because
I mean, that's-
it's just gonna happen again. Yeah, lovely, but
can we,
it's the wrong
we
place.
have got, you know, quite a tight.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just bringing it up.
Has anybody in Shepperton said anything about it?
No,
Don't know.
but it's not useful as a bench.
Yeah.
Probably don't even know it's there. It's hidden underneath the tree.
Yes, but I've been asking for 20 years, 15 years, and more, let's spread the trees, same thing.
All right, look, is there any other business for no?
Yeah, I'd just like pointing out that Phil Snell will probably be here on Thursday, so that's an opportunity if there's anything that we talk about with regard to leisure and playgrounds.
Yeah,
So we could,
A new seat for the zip
but
line.
then here it's returns.
Oh,
yeah, he does returning officer and play areas.
What do you?
Oh, you'll be here.
Yeah, so it's always the same.
Can you go down to the player and have a look at the zip line? That was a bit.
Southampton fan.
Is it? I don't know that.
Because that's.
All right, come on, Ian, you've got a point.
Right, number of people, it's put on the Clerk's machine about the fence at Warmorton Road. People have been saying, look at all the rubbish and weeds growing up in now, he's put the fence on the holiday. Why are you doing that? To keep his dogging, should be on the inside of the hedgerow. Apart from one. Two, I did mention it Phil the other day, I will bring up the meeting because two more people have come to me. Now, over the last 6 months, there's been a problem with rats up the allotment and in Thrupp Close.
Yeah.
And where the gentleman done the 2 vans and changed all this front garden, the people opposite the driveway as you go up, in their back garden, it's full of mattresses and whatever. And the rats have been watching, people have seen the rats come out there and up the lot and up feed on the chicken food. And people don't realise when they're making a nice compost, it keeps warm. Yeah. But we must, if it's on a council property, we must approach it some way or another. I know some gentlemen sat there a few yards away and shot 2 or 3 of them, but they keep coming out of that garden. Why should their garden be full of rubbish? Rats going in.
No, if it's a,
Apparently, well, I don't know, it's on somebody's Facebook, and it's Mrs. Montague at Thrupp Close.
somebody blamed the
waste.
the waste, but it was, I mean, they haven't done waste for 3 years, so it's nothing to do with it.
It's like things with compost and things, that
Yeah,
quarter.
but there are people in the village who actually feed them as well. They just.
Well, if you feed the village, you feed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Don't go on about that.
You put it on the floor.
I've had people put dog bowl there, burning boxes.
Can we just,
All I want to know is, can we get the clerk to approach the borough to come and have a look at the garden for any vermin? And their contractors come from where? Brighton.
well, that's going to be. I think it is just a matter of perhaps contacting Milton Keynes Housing and just saying,
Or public health.
has someone walked up there and made sure we don't want to start.
Ongoing, 4 people have approached me now.
Someone needs to actually look at it before we go reporting.
Look at what?
How do you get access to that?
Just look over the top of the fence, see the rubbish.
Yeah.
You can't go reporting people on second hand. You know, I'm out of it for a bit, you know.
Yeah.
Just going off, so can someone else go and have a look and then let Jackie know, and then Jackie can perhaps report it to Milton Keynes Housing.
I'm the address, because I don't know what chance.
I don't, yeah, I have no idea where it is.
Well, it's what it said,
You'd
the
have to
part
take
of
photos.
Williston End Road.
I'm away anyway, so, but I don't know.
I'll go have a look.
Okay, thank
I'll go
you.
have a look.
Thank you, Ian. And you talk to Jackie afterwards, and then Jackie will try and get hold of Milton Keynes Housing. And if you can't get hold of Milton Keynes Housing, go through Kate.
A very big fence, really.
All right,
Public health.
okay,
I know which house.
right.
I don't know, you'd see it.
The only other question I've got on any other business, when we've done the sport pavilion, etc., in where the cricket club was we were going to look at extra insulation in the lot. Was that done or not?
Yes, there was none.
Oh,
Yeah. I asked that very question, Ian, and was told that. Right, if that's any other business, next meeting, 2nd of September, no general meeting in August. In that case, we'll now close this part of the meeting, and we'll just go into part 2. So I'll now close the YouTube live stream.